Hey everyone, welcome to Fan Service. Today we're going to be talking about Doctor Who. Chris Rachel's going to kind of whore out her cookbook a little bit. We have a companion list from Sidewinder and a whole lot of other fun things coming up, including Jenny's trailer show. So stay tuned to this episode of Fan Service. Welcome back to our Doctor Who talk. That was Sidewinder Matilda's very lengthy and interesting who they'd like to see as Doctor Who companions, which I still think Billie Piper was the best one because she was the chick from Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
You have seen you've seen 4 episodes of Doctor Who.
I've seen like 5 episodes of Doctor Who and she's already sold it for me. She should be on every single episode because she's hot.
Wow.
She's in a lot of them.
And Sidewinder, why do you blame me for everything? Yeah, we get kidnapped quite often.
I've
and
never
bad
been
things
kidnapped.
You
happen.
get kidnapped. I don't.
You should really get kidnapped some point in time. There's nothing like a good kidnapping.
Really? I'm not really down with that. The whole mutilations threat, that just doesn't do it for me.
Does it for him all the time.
That's
I've
why
never
he has to
been
wear such
kidnapped.
bulky coats.
So we are talking about Doctor Who today.
Allegedly.
And I brought a Doctor Who fanatic who she may or may not have written some sort of book.
There might be something out there that I've written about Doctor Who. Who knows? Maybe a couple of recipes.
Maybe a cookbook of some sort. I'm not really sure.
Just saying.
And Pyro's a pretty good Doctor Who nut, and I'm the newbie.
This
Now,
asshole's annoying me. I'm gonna keep wearing this hat.
I want to start with Chris Rachel. What the hell is Doctor Who?
Okay, that's a really broad question. What do
Put
you
it
mean
in
by
2
that?
sentences for people who have no clue what Doctor Who is.
No more than 10 syllables each.
And you cannot use the letter A twice.
Good to know. Okay, so Doctor Who's a British science fiction show that's 50 years old, that doesn't make it boring, that makes it awesome, actually, that it got rebooted in 2005, and it's basically a time-traveling adventurer, and you get to go along as his companion, for all practical purposes, on wacky adventures through space and time.
Okay, so
Wibbly wobbly timey one.
Exactly.
and you're making. Okay, so
Yes, we're going to stand over here and make in-references and make you feel very excluded now.
why? I'm always excluded.
It's true.
You know what? I mean, you see the people I work with? I've got Death, I've got Scythe.
You
I
have
don't quite
random
know
guys
who
on
he
camera.
is yet.
Anyway, but Doctor Who. We're talking about
Anyways.
Doctor Who.
You should have
Doctor
seen
Who.
it when I had everybody yelling exterminate at him. He didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I did watch an episode with the Daleks, though.
I'm very proud
Yeah.
of you.
So, what is the appeal of Doctor Who to you?
Well, for one thing, it's a really optimistic show. Like right now, all the TV shows we have are very grim and they're not very forgiving and things like that. Whereas Doctor Who, it has this wonderful spirit of optimism as well as adventure. So it's not all like, hey, guess what? It's a revolution. The world has come to an end. Oh, hey, guess what? It's whatever latest mutant show. We're all so oppressed. It's more like, hey, the universe is awesome. Let's go see it all. And that's really
Yay,
appealing.
adventure!
Yes.
What about you, Pyro? What draws you to Doctor Who?
Adventure.
Adventure!
Adventure!
Plus, I
So-
love time travel. And
Yeah.
It's just,
So I started watching it at what's the season that I started? It's the first one on Netflix, I guess. Where
Yeah,
it's
so
got,
it would be,
it'll be-
just
it'll-
call it
it's
season
called
1.
Series 1.
Yeah.
Or season 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the one that has the dude that plays Destro in G.I. Joe and Billie
Mr.
Piper, who's
Eccleston.
a hottie.
Uh-huh. This is a very long pause.
My question, I guess, I really want to know is that the best point to jump in? Because honestly, I'm watching it going, I don't quite understand why
I
people
actually-
are crazy over it so far.
I actually recommend most people start with season 2 when David Tennant comes in.
Yes.
I like the season 1 episodes a lot. I feel like they really have a lot of the flavor of the old series from the 60s and beyond.
And beyond!
And beyond. Well, the
Beyond!
thing is, when they started the reboot, they didn't know that it was going to be that popular. They didn't know it was going to have that big of a budget, things like that. So it really has that, like, we turned a trash can over in order to make it an alien sort of feel. But it took over fantastically,
It has
and
that
therefore,
Star Trek sort of feel to alien creatures.
yeah.
Oh, here's a rug.
Yeah, that was the worst alien ever.
Yeah, and then in season 2, they realized it was popular. They got a bigger budget. They had better special effects, and it started to feel more like a modern science fiction show. So I think for people that aren't fans from before, starting with season 2 makes sense. You'll get addicted. You go all the way to the end. You're like, now I want to know what happened at the very start when he came back.
So you told me once that this is actually a kids show.
Well, the British have a different idea of what kids show means.
Okay. Our kids shows are
Dora the Explorer.
Power Rangers.
Dora. Yeah. Power Rangers, which never goes
Yeah,
away.
our kids' shows don't tend to have heavier topics and things like that, whereas theirs do. They're not afraid of mentioning that people die, for example. I mean, it doesn't have to be every episode. It's an optimistic show, but yeah, bad things
The
happen.
guy died, and you know it's gonna suck, but we'll get over it and we'll honor his death.
Yeah. And so they've got a lot of themes, a lot of things that I think that wouldn't fly on an American children's show at all, because we really like to kind of spoon feed it to them.
So do you think that's why that's just an adult show over here as opposed to more of a kid show over here?
Oh, totally.
Now, I made the reference one day on Facebook that I hit it. It's like the British version of Power Rangers, and I got trashed.
Because
They
you're
came
wrong.
out-
You
I
are
meant-
so amazing. How?
I
How
meant-
is this British Power Rangers?
Listen, I will tell you. It's a show that keeps going with a revolving cast that's geared towards kids that just can't stop. Power Rangers the same way. It's geared towards kids.
When you say just can't stop,
but
that
Power
implies
Rangers kinda
negativity. That implies something that, like, wow, why won't this show end? Just strangle us now. Whereas this, on the other hand, the great thing about the regenerations, I mean, they did it on a kind of accident at the beginning,
Which,
but it
yeah,
works
I actually want to know.
beautifully.
What's the deal with the regenerations?
Okay, there's a technical level and there's an actual, like, plot level.
Okay,
The technical
so
level
both.
is
Let's do technical first, then plot level.
Well, I guess it's when the actor wants to leave, he wants to go pursue other tasks.
Why would you want to leave Doctor Who?
you
Because
want to
got
have a
famous.
career, you want to do other things with
You
your
don't
life.
want to be known as Doctor Who for all your life. You want to be known as, hey, it's that dude that's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Or that chick that's a really good actor.
And on top of that, you don't want people burning out and stuff like that. It's the reason the show's been around for 50 years, is the fact that they can change out the actor. Every time things are not as fresh, you can get new companions in as well. And that really keeps it, you keep from having that like 4-year slump where a show's really good the first season, second season's pretty good, third
Like
season.
Prison Break.
Or sure, of
That
course,
went
like
longer than one
Prison
season.
Break. And so it's constantly renewing itself, and on a technical level, that keeps it interesting.
Okay. So in the story-wise, who is Doctor Who and why does he regenerate?
He is the last surviving member of his race, which
Say
is
that, but there's always another one that comes up. Anyway.
okay. He's one of the last 5 surviving members of his race on a
Maybe
functional
6.
level, but he's pitched as the last one. Survived the Time War when his whole planet and all the other time travelers were destroyed, and now he's just lonely, to be honest, and is out there trolling for young women to travel space and time with him, which makes it
Darn,
sound
that
bad.
knocks me out of the running.
I know, because you're not 900 years old. But because he gets to regenerate, that means that he always looks kind of young and hot, so not as creepy
What if
trolling
he's
as a
regenerated as
900-year-old.
an old guy.
You know, his very first regeneration actually looked very grandfatherly and kind of grim and whatnot. And I've noticed that his
must have been
regenerations are getting,
creepy.
yeah. Well, I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that when you're born, you actually are a child, raise up, and presumably you die of old age the first time around, and then you get regenerated younger. But each regeneration seems to be looks younger than the one before, and I think that's because as you get older, you want to have that feeling of youth. Whereas when you're really young, you're like, oh, I mean, think about teenagers, like, I want to look mature. So the equivalent on it for Gallifrey of being, I want to look mature would be like, I'm going to regenerate as a 70-year-old.
So how many doctors have there been so far?
We're on 11.
11. Who was your favorite doctor?
I have mixed feelings about that. When I was working on this, and I'm
What
not
is
just
this?
I'm working on I Love the Cookbook here, which you should all buy. It really is quite good. But when I was rewatching all the episodes to write this, before I went in, David Tennant was my favorite because he's just got this crazy manic energy and he's kind of sexy and whatnot. But people die a lot when he's around, and he's kind of an asshole. And though rewatching it, even though most people's favorite season is anything with David Tennant and then maybe Matt Smith, the most recent one, if a blue box showed up, if I heard this little noise in my apartment, I would hope to God it was Eccleston that was in there.
Was that the one I'm watching?
That's the one you're watching. Because
he actually makes a good doctor, I thought.
and he has his whole thing of everybody lives. This time, Rose, everybody lives. But it's not just that once, all the time. If you're a bystander and you happen to bump into him, you'll probably make it home that night.
So there's no red shirts with him.
Not as many. Whereas with the most recent Dr. Matt Smith, there's a great line from one of the characters named Rory who turns to his wife and says, you know, every time he gets chummy with someone, I just wanted to contact their next of kin. And I was like, yes, Rory, you are correct about this.
People are dying a lot more often now.
You know, if it wasn't for the fact that Rory himself seems to have a little bit of that regeneration magic going on, because there's an ongoing gag about how often this guy gets killed, I think that he has reason to be suspicious about this. He himself has died how many times? A few.
And then he died of old age the last time.
Oh, man.
And one time he was brought back as a plastic man.
You know, 2,000 years as a plastic man doesn't seem like an entirely horrible fate if he wasn't protecting the Pandorica the whole time. Spoilers.
Now, as a Doctor Who fan, I saw the news that all these famous authors are now going to start doing Doctor Who short stories.
Yeah.
What is that about?
There's actually a long tradition of doing Doctor Who fiction other than just the TV show. Because when it was off the air for like most of the 80s and 90s, that was the only way that people could have the continuity. So there were audio adventures, there were also books and things like that, and it really kept it alive over in Britain and for some hardcore fans here in the US. So the Eighth Doctor, the one from the movie, which was a bad movie, everyone agrees, he has a ton of additional adventures in the audio adventures, like he does the audio plays all the time for those and has kept it up for years.
And
What?
I know currently Matt Smith, he's in the IDW comics. And they're doing that. And they went to Enterprise. I don't know if that's canon, but
I hope not.
I don't think
Oh
it
dear
is.
Lord.
I think it's
So-
just something fun they did.
What if America had made this show?
No.
What do you think would have been
No.
different? Do you think it
No.
would have at
No.
all
There would
worked?
have been more scantily clad women
Would have been more awesome.
No.
and a lot more violence.
I don't think America could make this show, to be honest. For one thing, this is geared as a children's educational show. That's why he travels in time and things like that. If you're doing a children's educational show, like, you're not going to get a live-action, crazy 900-year-old with his, will not even explain River Song wife, and all these other things. That's just not going to happen on American TV. Look at what happened when we tried to do Sherlock.
Yeah, but look what would happen when we did Being Human.
Okay, Being Human, I will give you that. That is the one great gem in all of the things that we've pulled out that actually came out better than the BBC version.
Like we have no original ideas in
no,
America
no,
at
the
all.
things of the things that we have stolen from the BBC.
We steal a lot of things.
We steal
I
a
think.
lot of things from the BBC. Being Human is the one that actually came out better on our end, but it's the only one.
So I see the Doctor Who phenomenon. I get it.
No, you don't.
I do. I'm starting to get it because I don't watch it religiously because I don't.
You don't actually have a shrine set up in your bathroom
Don't have
with
a
all
sh-
these
I don't
toys?
have a bathroom set up. I don't write a specific book. Did you write a book?
I've heard about that. I've heard that there's a cookbook out there that you can pick up in case you want to have, viewing parties and write a whole bunch or cook a whole bunch of
What
exciting
possessed you
things.
to write this book?
She was hungry.
I'm gonna make some Dalek toast.
I just made that up.
I've been a food and beverage writer for a few years. I love Doctor Who and I love doing theme parties. And so I was doing this sort of thing anyway. It was just kind of coming up with wacky recipes and inviting people over. And lots of people, it doesn't matter what show, not just Doctor Who, but people with Firefly parties will have themed things. People with whatever you're into will have, themed foods
Reaver
out.
cakes.
Oh, God. I don't want to think about that.
What are Reaver cakes?
They don't exist, but I might have to work. No, I'm not going to work on that. What is wrong with you? Do you know what Reavers are? Have you
No.
Okay, we're not going to talk about Firefly around him either. He's a great host for this show.
telling you,
isn't he?
man.
Wow.
I am
Hasn't
telling
seen
you.
Firefly, hasn't seen Doctor Who, hosts a nerd show.
There's way more than just Firefly and Doctor Who out there.
Well, there is.
Way more.
I agree.
This Doctor Who thing to me is new.
It's
But I
only
know
been
it's
around
been
50
around
years.
for 50 years, but
There's also Star Wars out there and people's lives.
so
But more Doctor Who questions, because that's allegedly the theme of our episode,
yeah,
in case you hadn't heard.
the cookbook
Yes.
sounds brutally interesting.
It really is.
What was your favorite recipe out of it?
Oh, wow. That's, my favorite recipe actually really was the TARDIS Wellington. Just
That's
because
the one picture I saw that I could actually identify. Those little TARDIS with little things coming out of it.
No, the TARDIS Wellington
Oh.
it's the giant beef Wellington roast shaped like a TARDIS.
I was looking at the one that toast that you made with those things.
Oh yeah, there's the Dalek toast is actually pretty good as well.
Toast.
I'm trying to flip through a cookbook that no one else can see is really great television. I'm telling
I
you
know,
now,
right?
this is the best thing we
Anyways,
could be doing for you.
she was been promoting that for a while, and I'm glad to hear it's doing really well. And maybe if I get more into Doctor Who, I'll buy a copy for myself instead of other people.
He looks so
Doctor Who.
mystified.
I mean, it's weird. It's a great premise.
It's
a
weird in
brilliant
wonderful
premise.
ways.
And it is really fun to watch. But for me, I think the changing of the doctors would throw me off because, I started with this dude, the Eccleston
Eccleston.
dude, and he's actually pretty good. I like
is.
watching him. I like the chemistry between him and Billy Piper, and I like to watch Billy Piper run around because she's, got juggies like a blip, 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 blip. I have no shame. And what does the future of Doctor Who include? Do you know yet? Are they making movies?
Oh
Are
no,
they-
they're not going to do movies. It's very much a TV show.
Now I
hope
heard they
don't
were
do
going to make a
movies.
movie.
They talk about a movie every now and then just to kind of throw fans off, but they're not serious about it. No one's going to do a movie
What
with
happened
it.
was somebody found a nuke and went and blew it up
What?
over the idea of the movie.
Oh, okay. That's just out of context. Like, by the way,
context.
in case you
Bananas.
guys didn't realize, North Korea is now gone.
Boo, North Korea. So
But no, it's
is
very
it
much a
always
TV
going to stay in the TV show realm? Will it never
Yes.
go to like a mini series or this big epic feature
It doesn't
movie?
need to be a miniseries because they have arcs in. I mean, right now each season really is almost its own miniseries.
What about the movies they have now? So I saw some on Netflix. It's like Return of the Daleks or something.
Those are again from like the 70s. I want to
so
say.
I won't really get those. I have
No.
70s mentality of like
No.
hippies.
Movies that are like straight to TV movies that was bridging the gap between David Tennant and Matt Smith that are on Netflix as well.
Well, those were still official episodes.
They were
I
still
mean, that
official
was
episodes, but they're extended episodes.
yeah. Those are like usually an hour and a half long.
They're usually about
But
an hour and a half
I just kind of count those as season like 4.5.
Yeah.
You know.
So if you like time travel
Uh huh.
and aliens
Mm-hmm.
and crazy over the top things,
Yes.
and they do have quite a few celebrities guest spotting in there.
Their Christmas special almost always has celebrities. I've got to say, as a Walking Dead fan, it's really surreal to go back and watch the Christmas special where the governor is out there being pally with Doctor Who. You're like, no, don't trust him.
So if you like those things and this is obviously the show for you, give it a shot. It's on Netflix. It's not going to cost you anything except $8 a month.
Yeah, and you get all the other things on Netflix as
Like
well.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
And so
Firefly.
I've started
Yes.
with the Eccleton. I'm to the point where they brought the boyfriend, but he tried to cheat him and call himself in the past to give him tips, and they dropped him off. That's where I stopped because I started watching Ultimate Spider-Man cartoons. I get sidetracked easily. So I'm going to
shiny.
continue watching this. And honestly, time travel, what's not to like? Everyone
I
likes Back to the
agree.
Future and time travel. Do they ever go to the past?
Oh yeah, there's a great episode set in Rome. There are a great one with Agatha Christie. Yeah, they like to visit the past.
Future? Okay. Do they ever jack with the timeline?
Yes.
Do they like step on a
yes.
butterfly and they can't go back to the right
Much
future?
worse.
Actually,
that.
yeah. Tennant, the second Doctor, well, for your purposes, the second Doctor, does make fun of the whole when Martha Stewart, oh my God, when Martha Jones gets to go back and meet Shakespeare, she actually asks all those questions and she's saying, oh my God, if I step on a butterfly, it was like, do you have something against butterflies? Don't step on butterflies then. Like he completely hand waves over all that causality stuff.
Well, good. So I hope any of you who were interested about Doctor Who learned, and maybe if you like to cook,
I've heard it's good.
There's a Doctor Who cookbook by one of our favorite friends here. Where can you get the Doctor Who cookbook?
Amazon.com and starting next month, ThinkGeek.com.
Oh, awesome!
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
thinking. So we have Death is going to do a review of his favorite board game. I'm tired of hearing him talk about this board game every time we want to have board game night.
We should actually play this one night.
Yeah, we should probably actually give it. We like to give Death a backseat push. So, Death, are you ready for your review? Yeah, I'm
I
going
don't
to take
think
that
it-
as a yes. All right.
Can't see anything.